Let me take a moment and talk about Riverside.fm. It allows you to record studio quality audio and up to 4K video. When you need to record audio and video, Riverside.fm can do it. So if you're looking for a hero platform for all your recording needs, from podcasts to webinars to any video content, Riverside.fm. I've got a promo code for you where you'll receive a 30% discount on the first 3 months of your subscription. I'll give it to you twice. The promo code is SHIPIT. All one word, SHIPIT, and you'll pick up a 30% discount on your first 3 months of your subscription. Riverside.fm.
In this Best of the Pigskin Dispatches football history headlines, we discuss the head coach Hank Stram and the conference championships, the season right after the Merger Realignment, as well as many more Hall of Fame legendary stories for January 3rd, state and football history, coming up in just a moment.
This is the Pigskin Daily History Dispatch, a podcast that covers the anniversaries of American football events throughout history on a day-to-day basis. Your host, Darren Hayes, is podcasting from America's North Shore to bring you the memories of the gridiron, one day at a time. So as we come out of the tunnel of the Sports History Network, let's take the field and go no huddle through the portal of positive gridiron history with pigskindispatch.com.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hello, my football friends. This is Darren Hayes of PigskinDispatch.com, and I want to welcome you once again into the Pig Pen, where we're going to go into the football history headlines for January 3rd. And we'll start off in the year 1971 in Baltimore's Memorial Stadium. The first ever played AFC Championship game took place. Before we dive into this game, let's talk a little bit about the 1970 NFL realignment. This first season when the AFL and the NFL truly merged into one league, rather than have separate regular seasons and then having their champions square off against each other in the Super Bowl. This merging and realigning was not an easy process, as the AFL brought in 10 teams into the fray, while the NFL already had 16 franchises. In essence, 3 teams from the NFL had to join the AFL clubs in order to create balance in the new NFL. Finally, a decision was made as to transfer the Steelers, the Colts, and the Browns and mix them with the AFL clubs to form the American Football Conference of the NFL. One of these old NFL squads, the Baltimore Colts, survived the rigors of the new conference to battle the old guard of the AFL, the Oakland Raiders, for the right to play in Super Bowl V. The ProFootballReference.com website shares via the box score that the favored Colts jumped out early and hung on to defeat Oakland 27-17. Colts runner Norm Bullock scored twice, and Johnny Unitas passed to Ray Perkins a touchdown pass that sealed the deal in the fourth to place the Colts into the big game. January 3rd, 1971, the first NFC Championship game took place at San Francisco's KSAR Stadium. As we just discussed a second ago, the 13 teams of the National Football Conference of the NFL had all been in the National Football League in the years prior to the merger. The folks at the ProFootballReference.com tell us that the Niners were entertaining the Cowboys in the contest to see who would be facing Baltimore in the Super Bowl. At the half, the game was tied at 3. But coming out of the locker room, it appeared that Dallas had made the better adjustments as they scored 2 third-quarter touchdowns and then held on to win as they beat San Francisco 17-10 to advance to Super Bowl V. January 3rd, 1983. Generally, when the offense runs a play with only 10 players on the field from their own 1-yard line, it'll end up as a disaster. That was not the case when the Cowboys played the Vikings on a cold January day in 1983, according to ESPN.com. Yes, not when Dallas had Heisman-winning running back named Tony Dorsett. They had no worries. The Pitt product used his talents to set an NFL record with a 99-yard scamper in the Cowboys' 31-27 loss to the Minnesota Vikings. January 3rd, 1987, at the Fiesta Bowl. This Penn State-Miami game changed the way bowl games were scheduled. A bidding war started at the time, as both Penn State and Miami were both independents and had no affiliation with the conference. The LA Times archive story from the day tells the tale well. The Bulls were waging war against each other for trying to get the rights to have these two top teams meet at their venues. Well, it was the Fiesta Bowl that won out in this situation, and they all of a sudden became a high-profile bowl game. The 1987 Fiesta Bowl became the highest-rated championship game in history, recording a 24.9 Nielsen rating as more than 70 million viewers had the game on their home sets. No college football game has gotten that kind of rating before or since. The game was pretty good, too. The difference was the Nittany Lions defense thwarted much of the firepower of the Hurricane offense as Penn State's defense intercepted Heisman Trophy winner Vinny Testaverde 5 times, including one with 18 seconds left near the end zone. Penn State hangs on tight with a 14-10 victory. January 3rd, 1993. I can remember watching the first half of this matchup as the Houston Oilers dominated the first half of their wild card weekend game with the Buffalo Bills. I mean, it was an utter drubbing, and unless you were an avid Oilers fan, it was extremely uninteresting and quite excruciating to watch this bloodbath. The score was 28-3 at the half, and it felt even worse than that. Then, the Oilers scored on a pick six coming out of the break to make the score 35-3. The whole complexion of the game changed, though, at this point in the third quarter, as the Bills, led by quarterback Frank Reich, scored 4 TDs in the quarter to get back into the game. Reich led the Buffalo Bills all the way back from a 32-point deficit to defeat the Houston Oilers 41-38 in overtime in a wild card playoff game, the greatest comeback ever in NFL history. Now let's take a quick break from our headlines and let me remind you can learn more about gridiron history on our website, pigskindispatch.com. And you can contact me, Darren Hayes, at pigskindispatch@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Speaking of hearing from someone who's here is one of my podcasting partners from the sportshistorynetwork.com that has a message just for you.
Hi, this is John Gidley. Join me each Friday for a trip into the football attic, where I'll delve into forgotten but noteworthy stories of the National Football League. You're bound to learn something new or have your memory jogged each week. That's every Friday only on the Sports History Network and wherever podcasts are available.
January 3rd, 1994, at Candlestick Park in San Francisco, the Philadelphia Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers finished the season by going into overtime. The Eagles quarterback Bubby Brister completed 26 of 43 of his passes for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns. Steve Young, the southpaw signal caller of the San Francisco 49ers, was used sparingly as the team prepared for a playoff in this meaningless game to them. Per the ProFootballReference.com website, Young did throw 15 of 19 for 165 yards and 2 TDs to become the first quarterback to win 3 straight NFL passing titles and to be the first to put up 3 consecutive seasons with a passer rating of 100 or more. Unbelievable. The Niners, with Steve Bono in relief, suffered the overtime loss to the Philadelphia Eagles 37-34. All right, let's get back into some college action in this bowl season. January 3rd, 2001 at Pro Player Stadium in Miami Gardens. College football's third BCS National Championship pitted the number 1 ranked Oklahoma Sooners against the number 2 Florida State Seminoles per the American Football Database. This was a defensive lover's game. The Sooners kicked off field goal early in the game and held on to that 3-0 lead for most of the game until the third quarter when they booted through another three-pointer. Finally, in the fourth, Quentin Griffin scored on a 10-yard run to give Oklahoma a bit of a cushion to pad the lead. The Noles' only scoring came in the final stanza on a safety. The Sooners won the BCS trophy with great defense in the 13-2 victory at the Orange Bowl. January 3rd, 2002, the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. At the 4th BCS National Championship, the number 1 Miami Hurricanes, led by Clinton Portis and quarterback Ken Dorsey, faced a stiff challenge from the second-ranked Nebraska Cornhuskers and their outstanding signal caller of Eric Crouch. The Canes used a combination of offensive and defensive flurry of scoring in the first half of 34 unanswered points to cruise to a 37-14 national championship victory at the 88th Rose Bowl per ESPN.com. I don't know, but the BCS championships must have loved January 3rd because January 3rd, 2003 was another one, this time at Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe, Arizona. The University of Miami made another appearance a year later in the 5th BCS National Championship. The Hurricanes were still atop the college football world, and this year they faced a stiff challenge from the title of the number 2 ranked Ohio State Buckeyes at the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. The FiestaBowl.org website gives us the details about what many claim to be one of the top games in NCAA college football history. Miami came into the game with a 34-game unbeaten streak in hand as they defended their title this year. The Canes roster included stars like quarterback Ken Dorsey, running back Willis McGahee, Kellen Winslow Jr. at tight end, Sean Taylor, Antro Roll, and Jonathan Vilma on the defense. The Buckeyes countered with sensational back Maurice Claret, Craig Krenzel at quarterback, Chris Gamble, Will Allen, A.J. Hawk, and Michael Doss on the defense. These rosters were stacked with stars. The difference of the game was a critical goal line stand in the second quarter when the Buckeyes defense held after Miami had the ball first and goal at the OSU 2. Claret and Krenzel ran in a couple touchdowns each, and Ohio State's defense held the powerful Miami offense in check, just enough for the Buckeyes to unseat Miami 31-24 in a thriller. Now back to the NFL. January 3rd, 2004, Charlotte, North Carolina. The setting was the NFC wildcard weekend as the home crowd was out to support their Carolina Panthers against the visiting Dallas Cowboys per the ProFootballReference.com website. The Panthers jumped out to a 13-0 lead early and never looked back. Panthers kicker John Casey tied the NFL record with 5 field goals to lead Carolina to a 29-10 victory over the Dallas Cowboys to advance into the playoff tournament. January 3rd, 2007. We all know that Nick Saban is the face of modern University of Alabama football as he churns out a top-notch team to compete for national titles on almost a yearly basis. As a matter of fact, the last 13 years, he has had a team from Alabama ranked number 1 in the polls at some point in the season. Do we remember, though, that he left another great college program at LSU to go into the NFL as a head man? Well, he did. A year after winning the BCS title in 2003, the Tigers' Saban was hired by the Miami Dolphins to guide their team, according to an APnews.com story. The Saban-led Miami teams finished with a 9-7 record in 2005, and then the Fins registered a 6-10 record in 2006. Many experts speculate that Saban was upset not only about the losing season he had just suffered through, but also the fact that in early 2006 he did not win the recruiting war for the signing of quarterback Drew Brees with the New Orleans Saints. He was used to signing top prospects at the college level, but when it came to the NFL, the game of landing players might not have been his cup of tea. It was on this January 3rd day in 2007 when the high-profile head coach Nick Saban resigned his position with the franchise of Miami to return to college football and take the head coaching job at Alabama. Well, for this January 3rd, we have one great Hall of Famer to talk about, and boy, is he a good one. 1924 was the year he was born in Chicago, Illinois. The former head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, Hank Stram, was born. Hank got his feet wet in coaching as an assistant at the University of Miami. His bio on the ProFootballHOF.com website tells us how Lamar Hunt, the owner of the AFL startup team, the Dallas Texans, hired Stram to lead the new franchise on the field. The Texans played 1 year in Dallas and then moved to Kansas City, where they changed their name to the Chiefs. Stram was an offensive innovator, and he is best remembered for his development of items such as the moving pocket to utilize the talents of his mobile quarterback Len Dawson. The legendary coach also established a 2 tight end set, and on the other side of the ball introduced stacking linebackers behind the defensive linemen in the stacked defense principles. Stram led the Chiefs into the 2 Super Bowl games. In Super Bowl I, his team fell to the powerful Packers of Vince Lombardi, but his team won Super Bowl IV against the Vikings. The Pro Football Hall of Fame enshrined Hank Stram into their famous Canton, Ohio Museum in the year 2003. We hope you enjoyed the history we brought you today, and look for tomorrow, January 4th, as we talk about the very start of the CFL and its roots, but it wasn't called that back then. And we also talk about a coach who accepted a job and declined it at the same day to take another job. It's all coming up tomorrow on your January 4th Football History Headlines, so make sure you subscribe. Check us out at PigskinDispatch.com or the SportsHistoryNetwork.com, where you can see this podcast and some many great other ones and some great personalities and guests on sports history on the SportsHistoryNetwork.com. Peeking up at the clock, the time's running down. We're going to go into victory formation, take a knee, and let this baby run out. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back tomorrow for the next podcast. we invite you to check out our website, pigskindispatch.com, not only to see the daily football history, but to experience positive football with our many articles on the good people of the game, as well as our own football comic strip, Cleat Marks Comics. Pigskindispatch.com is also on social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget the Pigskin Dispatch YouTube channel to get all of your positive football news and history. A special thanks to the talents of Mike and Gene Monroe, as well as Jason Neff for letting us use their music during our podcast.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
It was just another ordinary day in the offices of the Pittsburgh Guardian newspaper circa 1924. But for Marla Delft, assistant editor, everything was about to change. For she was about to discover the awesome attractiveness of Row 1 brand retro sports paraphernalia items thanks to Orville Mulligan, sports writer.
And there it is.
Wow, Orville, that's really the bee's knees.
Isn't it just? A poster-sized replica of the actual 1909 World Series program cover.
I can see that. But where did you get it? And where'd you get it framed?
I ordered it from the Row 1 website, where over 6,000 items of sports memorabilia from the 1880s to the 1990s are available for reproduction in multiple sizes and in several different materials, with over a dozen styles of frame to choose from for prints like this.
Well, I'm sure Mr. Delft would love to put up more of these in the office. But I'm equally as sure they're beyond this newspaper's budget.
Not at all, my dear Marla. See for yourself. Go to sportshistorynetwork.com/row1.
sportshistorynetwork.com/row1. Oh my, these are good prices. Oh, and look at this stuff. Oklahoma-Nebraska football, college basketball art, Michael Jordan items.
And so
retro
it was that
sports
Marla Delft
advertisement
discovered the
placards.
splendiferous magic of Row 1 sports memorabilia, arts, and prints. You can too by visiting sportshistorynetwork.com/row1. That's ROW1 today for access to the full Row 1 catalog of gallery prints and gifts like t-shirts, long-sleeve shirts, telephone cases, coffee mugs, blankets, pillows, towels, and even shower curtains. Act today for 15% discount off all prints with coupon code SHN15 and 20% off all other items with coupon code SHN20 at checkout. And keep your dial locked to the Sports History Network for the exciting chronicles of the 1920 sports world in Orville Mulligan, sports writer. Coming soon.
Are you having a hard time figuring out what to get Dad for Father's Day? You should check out Row 1 Brand's Vintage Pictorum Gallery. They have America's best sports art. With over 7,200 historic sports prints, you're assured to find something unique for Dad this Father's Day. Instead of a boring old tie, get him a historic baseball photo taken by Henry High Sandom at the historic Polo Grounds Stadium in New York City during the 1894 Temple Cup. Or, if he's an NFL buff, check out the 1963 vintage NFL poster. These are so good looking that you'll be amazed how they turn out. Shop now at sportshistorynetwork.com/row1 and save 15% off your order.